scenery, choice of everything. It was really good. What was with that shock expression?
I wasn't recording.
Yeah. So everything that I've said meant nothing.
Yeah. Contains spoilers.
Where's the professionalism, man?
Part 2. All right, we're here. We're reviewing The Walking Dead. We are here, ladies and gentlemen. This is our second recording. Oh, I forgot to press record. Okay, we are reviewing 28 Years Later, Part 2. The second movie in the apparent trilogy coming out. It's the fourth overall movie. So the movie was directed by Nia DaCosta, which very surprising. I only found this out yesterday, and she directed The Marvels, so she really redeemed herself in this film, which is insane. Uh,
Yeah,
I'll
absolutely.
I'll go straight off the bat and say this movie is way better than the last one. And it seems like much more of a mature movie as well. It was written a lot better. The first one was kind of, I feel like it was almost recorded by a couple of amateurs that didn't really know how to tell a story, and it was kind of all mismatched and all over the place. But I feel like this film was very well, like, surprising. It was very well done, and and the direction they went with it was very surprising. I did not expect the movie to be as good as it did. If you all know, in the end of the last movie, we got like the Power Rangers, and that just completely derailed the whole film. And I thought, oh my god, I'm not coming forward for the next film. What are they on? Are they on meth or something? Like, this is the dumbest shit ever. And then honestly, they were the best part of the film was the what were they called? They're called the Jimmies, or
Jimmy's.
the Jimmies.
Sir
Yeah,
Jimmy and the fingers.
excellent. Like, the whole movie was carried by lead Jimmy, what his name?
Jack Connell.
Jack O'Connell and Celia. So not Cillian Murphy. Well, he kind of did carry the film, and Ralph Fiennes. I'll say those two carried the movie. Without those two, I don't think it would have been. Yeah. Anyway, what did you think, Mitch?
Yes. Um, I walked into the film with my guard up, uh, because of the experiences of the previous installment. That was a very big letdown. Um, Not to say there was decent moments in it, but the overall outcome of that third film, I'm calling it the fourth and the third. I don't know why they're making a part trilogy. It doesn't make any sense to me,
Yeah.
given especially how this one ended. Um, so walking into this, I had low hopes for what the outcome was going to be. And honestly, within the first 10 minutes, I could feel the vibe of the film. I could feel the direction was working. The new cast of characters that they introduced, I think, work well, as opposed to what I assumed they were going to be like Teletubbies, Power Rangers mixed together somehow.
Triple backflips.
No, mate. Yeah, that still scars me today, and I'm even daring myself to watch the third one again just for the sake of it, just to see maybe I was wrong about it. I sincerely doubt it, but we'll see. Um, so yeah, I one thing I did enjoy about this, as it is to be a trilogy, it definitely did not feel like a whole film. It did feel like a new chapter of a saga. Um, so in terms of key characters that we've already established, like Spike, for example, he doesn't really have much involvement in this film. Is I don't
Hmm.
know, for the say the least, we're kind of watching this movie as a spectator through his view, and his character doesn't really do much change. He kind of begins the story the same way he ends it. Like, he's a witness to savagery and violence on the other side of things now. Um, and when I say violence, it is extreme violence. um, Nia DaCosta did a great job with showing violence, but also knowing when not to show violence and still have the same amount of weight behind it. One particular scene we'll talk about later. And
She definitely showed violence. So if,
oh, she showed violence,
yeah.
but it's like it didn't get to the point where it was like over the top. It didn't get to the point where it was like gore porn. You know what I mean? It was
Hmm.
more than enough to like say, okay, this is very gritty, and
Yeah.
then when there was no need to show more violence, you could just hear it in the background, or it's just off camera, or it's out of focus. And so the balance of that for me was perfect for a film,
Yes.
showcasing violence without needing to be like right in your face all the time, like
Yeah.
a Michael Bay explosion.
Relying
So
on the craziness of it. Relying on it. They didn't rely on
exactly.
it at all.
But again, saying that, if you enjoy your violence, you're going to get plenty of it in this film
Yeah,
because
if
it
you like
is.
gore porn, you're gonna get that as well. Just they didn't overdo it. I mean, but not, you know.
I don't think it was at that point, but it was definitely close to gore porn in some areas. Um, so yeah, so really the main character of this is really Sir Jimmy, Jack O'Connell, which I was really looking forward to, despite his introduction in the previous film. I am a big fan of Jack O'Connor, and he's quickly growing as one of my favorite actors at the moment. He plays a brilliant villain in Sinners, and he plays a really hardcore soldier character in a BBC wartime drama epic TV series,
Big
which
Black
is named
Ops, yeah.
yes,
Sorry.
of which the TV show's name is Run Amok on Me. I think it's like uh, Dirty Dozen or something. I can't remember. Anyways, he definitely holds a mount of the performance in this film. Every time he's on screen, he's awesome. That's not to say everyone else does a disservice as well. Most of the Jimmies who have kind of brief involvement in the film, when they're on screen, they have a definite moment. There's one of the Jimmies. I think there's boy Jimmies and then there's female Jimmies, and the female Jimmies I think are called Geminas.
Yeah,
I think
Jimenez or something, like whatever,
Jimenez.
like
And
Jack
there's one
or
Gemini.
Jackina.
Yes, and there was one Gemini in particular who I suppose was kind of like the Harley Quinn of this group. She was a bit more psycho than others. She had a few cool key moments too. I don't know who the actress is, but I like to look forward to seeing what else she does in the future. Um, who else can I talk about? Oh, of course, Voldemort, Ray Fiennes. He knocks it out of the park again. A complete opposite character to everything else in this movie, man, which I was really happy about because they introduced him in the third film as this kind of mad witch doctor, and on first appearance, okay, I presume that because he's always wearing the iodine that gives him this orange red complexion, and he's bloody melting, corpses into bones, and has a collection of trophies. So you'd think he's crazy, but then you see the reasons why he's doing these things, and it's kind of justified of his character in this world. Um, Again, they flesh out his character a bit more to the reasons why he does these science experiments. And bottom line, he's a very lonely man who just wants company. That's what I
Yes.
saw in the core root of everything he does. And the direction they gave, the reasons why he's attending Samson, who AKA is the big alpha, is much more clear cut and much more reasonable in this film. And I understand now what his purpose was from the previous one. Whether or not it was meant to be the same direction, I don't know. But I'm glad they did it in this film because here comes the first bit of spoilers. Generally, Ray Fiennes comes close to finding what could be arguably a cure to the rage virus. And he's been slowly experimenting on it and studying it with Samson, the Alpha. And it kind of doesn't make sense when you rewind to the first and second film, but I actually, at the same time, like what they did with it. That this rage virus isn't just a biological thing that turns you rabid; it's also a psychosis thing, where the infected perceive the world in a different way, where everything's legitimately a threat, and that's why they're always rabid and attacking things. And so, Ray Fiennes, being the crazy but also intelligent doctor that he is, finds a means to treat Samson to remove his psychosis. And we see the progression of him. He starts talking and he starts growing conscious again.
Appreciating
Um,
anything around him. Yeah, he starts
well, yeah,
appreciating
he's
things.
he's he's literally the veil of anger is like lifting from his eyes, and you can see that transition, and it was really well done. And I've, and it's still the one thing that doesn't make sense is how the other infected know. It's not like supernatural, like vampirism. It's meant to be a scientific, biological kind of disease. So how do they know when Sanson becomes more conscious and they go to attack him? or vice versa. How do the infected know the others are infected? That is not really explained, and that's in the magic of cinema to just to like let it be. So cool. Um,
I have a small
I really
thing.
enjoyed that.
I have a small theory about that. He did say he said no ticket. Or he said no ticket or something. Remember that scene? And then the zombies
And he
attacked
finally
him.
cleared out. Yeah,
So I think the zombies heard him say that. They're like, "Oh, that's not zombie talk. Let's get him." So I kind of saw it as that. He's like, yeah,
cool. But again, how to differentiate someone speaking English as opposed to someone just going,
yeah.
you know what I mean?
It's a vibe
So
check. He didn't pass the vibe check.
true. Yeah, I think they were jealous of his pecs because he's a big, big, solid unit of
Oh,
a man.
unit man. Who is that guy? I've never
He looks
seen
like
him before. He's like
I
a
don't know, but he
yeah,
looks like Jason Momoa on actual steroids. He's a beast, and hopefully, you get to see him in more films because he's a giant of a man. I think he's Hawaiian or Kiwi. I think he's Hawaiian, but he became an enjoyable character, and I'd be curious to know where they take his character leading to the next installment because I
yeah,
question how the treatment of his psychosis would stay permanent because Ray Fiennes concocts a bunch of pills and force feeds them to Samson, and that's how he clears his psychosis. But to me, that tells me that that's something that needs to be constantly treated, not
yeah,
just like one pill you're cured for the rest of your life. So whether they're going to take that in that direction where he begins to become more rage again, I don't know, or maybe he's cured and he's like half human, half infected. I don't know because he's still a beast. And as we saw in that sequence, when the other horde zombies infected attacked him, he can't get raged again because they tore him apart, rip out his throat, and he still goes on fighting them all. So maybe Samson could become the beginning catalyst of a possible cure to the illness. Saying all the research that uh, you know, forgot his character's name. All the stuff that Kelson researched and written in his journals and all that are in his house. And spoiler alert: at the very end of this film, unfortunately, Kelson falls victim to Sir Jimmy. All that research and everything is still in that house that he built for himself, with no one knowing about it, not even Spike, because he wasn't there to witness it. So what they're going to do with that, it seems like that was the end of that chapter for Kelson and his research, and that's just going to stay buried until some random person stumbles on it. That's how I felt
yeah,
about it. So that to me was a bit of a underwhelming ending. I thought maybe Spike would have been more on the in and could have at least taken a journal or something back with them, because I presume right now they're trying to get back home to his father, who doesn't make a cameo in the film at all. I
no,
thought he did at one point, but then he got his head ripped off, so I was like, "That's definitely not him." I think they deliberately created that character to make you think it was him, but it wasn't. um, I'm rambling, Ben. I'm rambling.
no,
So you go on ahead now.
yeah. I was gonna say, what's the kid's name again? Sorry,
Spike.
Spike. Yeah, he was a bit confusing to me in this film. The whole film, he's trying to run away from the Jimmies, basically.
Mhm.
I feel like, and during the movie, he's like, he runs away, and I've got her name. One of the crazy Jimmy's like, "Well, where are you going?" And he's like, "I don't know, anywhere." I feel like the whole movie, wouldn't he want to go back to his dad and his community? Because seeing what he saw, all the bodies tortured and all that, he would be so scared. He's like, dude, I don't care. I just want to go back home to my dad. I don't care. My dad slapped me once. Oh, whoop de doo. I want to go back
Yeah,
there. But he's acting like, oh, I got nowhere else I can go. I gotta be with these angry savages. It's like, no, you don't, man. Find a time to run back home. You know what I mean? I don't know. I
yeah.
feel like his motivation, it's almost like he forgot he had a home and he had no
Fair point.
choice. And his home wasn't that far, right? It was like only like probably like a few hour walk from the
It's
Bone
hard to
Temple.
tell geographically where everything is because, yeah, it seems like everything happens right on top of each other. Because here's the Jimmies, and they live right next door to the Mad Doctor. The Mad Doctor, who had a reputation, lived right next to Aaron Taylor Johnson's clan. It all seems within like 20 kilometers of each other. It's hard to tell.
Yeah, so
Um,
his character Spike's character in this one was very compared to the first movie, very lackluster. Also, that forgot her name, the pregnant woman that runs away. I feel like
Yeah,
she's going to be a very big part of the next movie. It's going to be her,
yeah.
Spike, and maybe she's a nurse or something, or she has some relation to Cure. But I hope they don't do that because it's like, okay, Doctor Ian died, so let's bring in this new girl that's a doctor. It's like, no, I'd rather just keep Doctor
How
Ian.
convenient. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yes,
I was waiting for her character to come back into it at some point, but no, after the altercation with the Jimmies and that brief moment with Spike, she disappears from the film.
yeah, she's a
And
badass. She's like, she just punched Spike in the stomach after everything she's seen and just runs away. I'm like, she's a badass
I mean,
character.
can you blame her? She's just
No,
witnessed a bunch of Jimmies that are psychotic kill. I'm assuming it was a family or adopted family.
yeah.
So I'm not gonna stop to listen to some kid whine because it could be just part of an act, for all I know. You know, I was like, "Fuck you, I'm out of here."
Yeah, so a couple of things I didn't like. That probably the first thing I didn't like was Spike's character, how they treated him. The
Hmm.
second thing is I don't think there was enough zombie fights. Just, eye candy fights. There was maybe 3 fights in the film, and I wish there was maybe 5. There were a few zombie interactions in the beginning, one in towards the end, but the scenes where Ian would be dragging a body through the grass and he'll be singing out loud and there'll be buildings on fire and we're the zombies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that was kind of unrealistic for me. I wish they were more careful. Like they're still scouting out what the hell's going on. Like midway through the movie, you come across a trio. I think one of them is a pregnant woman, and they're very careful. They're like, they're scouting the bush. They're like every moment they're seeing if there's a zombie. I feel like that's realistic. But Spike and all these people, they don't care anymore. I
And they're
guess,
walking around with like little knives. Like that's the only
yeah,
thing they have to defend
it's
themselves.
believable with
But
the
at least
Jimmies, but the Jimmies are crazy, so that's
no,
fine
no, no, no. That's what I'm saying. I don't. I mean, yeah, they're crazy, but I don't believe that they could survive the way they were surviving.
with the sword.
You know
Oh,
what I mean?
sorry, with the
With a little dagger and shiv knife, like, and they just wander from town to town, place to place. Like, I totally agree. Like the infected in this and the previous one are basically plot contrived. They're out of the story when they don't need to be in the story, and they get involved, and it's so minuscule. Like
minuscule.
it reminds me of The Walking Dead after like season 4, the zombies are no longer a threat,
Mm,
which in 28 days later franchise is utter bull because in the first 2 films they did a great job of
mm.
knowing every corner of every moment. Like these things could just be in a horde running rabbit at you. And I totally agree. There's scenarios where Ray Fiennes is just in a field, just waiting for Samson. He's calling for Samson, but there's even one sequence early on when, like you said, he's singing. Samson hears him. He hears him, and Samson's with a bunch of other infected that would, as I presume from the third film, follow him like a horde. But they don't. Samson hears Voldemort, follows him, but the others infected just remain doing what they're doing. Like that to me doesn't make any
Right.
sense. There would have been
Maybe
a whole.
maybe Samsung wanted to get high, so he didn't want the horde to follow him because he wanted to get
It
high.
does. I you called that, and I was like, really? That's not what he wants. You got
Yeah,
it right on the money there.
yeah, I
He
called
wants
that.
that morning fix. Cool, but okay, but show us him like grunting or doing something that tells the infected to like stay.
Yes, yeah,
Because as much as I like Samson, in the previous film I never really agreed to the idea of introducing these
an
alphas.
alpha. Yeah,
Because I've also noticed they didn't bring back the crawlers that they introduced in the third one.
the
I feel like
bloaters, the fat
the
bloat
bloated
crawlers.
things that are very slow. Like it started to feel like The Last of Us, and that's not what 28 Days is meant to be. They're meant to be class systems of infected. They're just meant to be rabid people with rabies and mad cow disease and all that jazz together. But they introduced alphas. I did start enjoy Samson's character, not because he's an alpha, but because of what they did with him. They could have just had him be a really large infected man. He didn't have to be an alpha,
An
but
alpha, yeah.
whatever.
It's a video
They've
game
introduced the
thing.
alpha. Yeah, they've introduced the alpha system, so we have to deal with it now. Cool. Um, but yeah, I totally agree that it's the same with the third one. They're in complete open. You know what I mean? I get the population is probably really low now because it's been 28 years, but still, these these are meant to be the most dangerous things on the planet because of how fast they are and how easily you can get turned by them. As we see in this, a little blood splatter gets in someone's eye, you're gone. You don't
Bonskis.
even have time to say goodbye or kill yourself. You know what I mean? So that should always been a fear factor. But this one and in the previous one, it's not a fear factor. It's just like a nuisance most of the time, which does a disservice to the previous two films. And a lot of people don't really like 28 Weeks Later. I do have a soft spot for it because I think the first half of the film is a perfect film, and then it kind of loses itself. But it treats the infected as it should, as this absolute terror of a thing that is just relentless and non-stopping, and there's never a moment for you to, stop.
Yeah.
And again, they camp in the woods, they have fires lit, they sing, they laugh, they make noise. It's just to me that is just disbelievable, especially with the Jimmies that just seem to live as gypsies. I guess it's kind of an homage, Jimmy's, gypsies. And not one single moment in this film was there ever a threat to them with the infected. I get we're supposed to see them as these savage, murderous, psychotic, Satan worshipping people, but they should have still just brought a little bit of a reminder of what this world really is and what the real threat is overall. I know human nature is the theme of this, that humans are violent in nature, but I just can't believe that these Jimmies could survive the way they do. And with how limited resources they have. A freaking knife.
If they get attacked
If
by
they were
one
like,
zombie every month, yeah, they can survive. Like they get attacked from
fair
one
enough.
zombie. There's no hordes. There's one zombie, and they do like these. Oh, I'm gonna stab him in the neck and do
Exactly. But there's like three or four key moments in this film when there is a horde or small horde of zombies infected. So it's telling you that they still are out there. We get the horde that attacks Samson in the train, and we get the horde at the very end of the film, which plot for convenience, now they're gonna go after the final Jimmy because whatever. And when was the other at the very beginning of the film when they introduced Samson again? But it's again, it's just very plot contrived convenience. Like now we'll see a bunch of them, now we won't. Now we'll see a bunch of them, now we won't. And yeah, to me the urgency just doesn't exist. So that's a big negative for this one and even the previous one. Like the sequence that I want to talk about mostly is the barn when the gypsies take over that small village family, have them restrained, and are doing what Sir Gypsy says is to remove their shirts, and it's a very violent sequence where they peel open their chest skin and just peel it off like a shirt. It's very gruesome. Um, but again, in that sequence, there's screaming, there's fire. So it's a giant torch, a giant beacon for any infected in the neighborhood to be drawn to it. But throughout the whole sequence, there's not one infected that come and attack the village. I guess that there's a perimeter fence, but even still, they're going to be coming running, charging at that fence. And there's alphas that exist out there. Why is there only just the one alpha at the moment?
Oh no,
We had two alphas.
that pregnant woman when she ran out the gate, there was nothing. That's the main entrance, and there was nothing
Yeah,
there. It's like, oh,
yeah. I was kind of waiting for that to happen. I was kind of waiting for all of a sudden she exits after Spike begged her to take me with you, and then she just gets chomped on, and then he's forced to close the gate. But it didn't happen. She's ran off to probably live to see into the sequel. Who knows? Um. So yeah, again, still written plot conveniences, but overall, the tone of the film, it saves it. It redeems itself, especially with the performances.
yes.
Um, and oh, where am I concluding with this?
Oh, we
You speak
talked.
for a while, bro.
Oh, we talked about the barn scene. Um, give me a sec. Yeah, I'm just trying to think about what we haven't talked about yet.
Well, the only thing I can think of is when Sir Jimmy finally meets Voldemort, and they have that little converse. Which, ironically, even though we have met Jimmy, the real Jimmy, and we know how savage and how controlling and fearful he is, I couldn't help but find a very solemn moment between him and Dr. Kelson. Like,
That's probably the
you
best
kind
scene
of,
in the movie for me is when they first meet each other and Jack O'Connell, he you see his demeanor change into he's actually worried, I love that. He's man, brilliant acting when he just meets him and he's very cautious.
He goes
Yeah.
through like 7 different emotions in that
Yeah.
scene, like concern, doubt, fear, relief, and joy.
Amazement. Yeah.
And even like my favorite part is when he kind of did kind of like remove that layer of like evil and was just speaking to someone because again the theme of this and the theme of most of the 28 films is the duality in a relationship between a father and a son, and they've rooted it in this one as well, how the relationship that Jack O'Connor had with his father, and how he has this manifestation of having a relationship with Satan, and then even mentions how soft spoken and how easy it is to talk to Dr. Kelson. And then they play on this whole facade, to try and trick the other Jimmies that he is Satan, that we'll call you father and all
Mm.
this stuff. Like, I kind of, it's impossible. I did kind of want to see some form of a redemption to Sir Jimmy, even though he's like far beyond the freaking deep end of being redeemed. I kind of wanted that one little solemn moment between them, but it's
Yeah.
unfortunately it is quickly discarded for the plot twist and whatnot. But yeah, it was honestly a great moment just to see two heavyweight actors have that solemn moment in juxtaposition to everything else that's happened in the film. And yeah, it's testimony to brilliant acting on both Jack O'Connell, who's still fairly young, he's still fairly new to the game, who gives me kind of Tom Hardy energy, and to Ray Fiennes, who always knocks it out of the park. Um, so yeah, I'm glad that they did save my thoughts on the Jimmies as opposed to what we got of them in the previous film. Thank, thank, thank fuck they fixed that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's really made me looking forward to the next one, which they've already basically said is going to be a next one. So yeah, turn it to you, bro. I've
And
said too much.
yeah, I liked that whole thing where Dr. Ian tries to he has to talk to the whole group. He could trust deceive them. I liked it, but I didn't
That's
like
the
it
devil. Yeah,
as a devil.
yeah, me too.
I didn't really like how how it ended. How he just got shanked into the cross and it ended. Like you, I wish they added a little bit more to that, a bit more dynamic to his character. Also, I don't know if I like the fact that he thought he was the devil's son. I kind of wish they went somewhere else with it. Initially, I thought it was like a Teletubbies type thing, but then it turned into a devil thing. I wish they kept more with the Teletubbies theme. Maybe like the Teletubbies son was the god, and they're looking for the son. I wish I wasn't a big fan of the devil thing, but it makes sense because the whole thing with God and devil. He thought he was the devil's son. I thought they
And
could
it
have.
also
Mm.
puts, sorry, I'm not
Yeah,
interrupting
yeah,
you. I'm just adding. It kind of turns it on its head about his relationship with his real father, who was a priest vicar. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It
Not
turns on like that interpretation of religion and whatnot. Like my father followed God, and this was the result of it. The devil's demons did this to him, so he follows Satan instead, as a manifestation for his own and justification for his own violence and whatnot. So you go.
yeah, yeah. Whenever they put religious tones into it, it kind of takes me out a little bit. I'm like, okay, it's another religious thing. But I think overall they did that pretty well. The other scene I really liked is that scene where they were in the when they were having dinner with the family around, and that was a crazy scene. Such an intense scene.
It
That was
was.
probably my
It
favorite or my
was.
second favorite scene. That was amazing. They needed more of that stuff in the film, man.
Can you imagine, and this is me being a director's mind now, can you imagine if that sequence and the lead up to it when we get introduced to the pregnant woman running away from the intact infected, can you imagine that was the introduction to the movie instead of the introduction that we got?
Yeah, and we got that music
Oh, that
or
that too,
something.
but instead of having the open that we did, where we get to see Spike prove himself and kill the other GB and all that, can you imagine if it was just like we time jump to that being the introduction to the film, where
Yes.
this is the first time we see the Jimmys act violent? To me, that would have been a better introduction. That like this pregnant woman, who we presume is probably going to be the main character, returns to a village, and the other guy's like, "We got company." and then we get introduced to the Jimmies in the dinner table,
Yeah.
and we don't know yet what they're capable of. We don't know how crazy or how violent they are. And then that sequence happens, followed with the barn sequence.
Yes, and it's a very good character moment. You get to see all the different Jimmies and how their character, um, interacts with different things.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I agree. That would have been a good intro. But yeah, just in general, that was done really well.
Absolutely. To me, that would have been like the Inglourious Basterds intro. So how we get introduced to, Hans Lander. They could have. It felt like it could have been a very similar vibe to this. So we get to see, you know, obviously Jack O'Connor's Jimmy is the leader of the group, and how quickly they can switch from being charming and funny and silly to just want to stab something. Because it says that's in
Yeah,
the end. That's what they are. These kids are all bloody belong in the mental asylum, but they are a byproduct of their environment. They, I guess, would have gone down the exact same journey as Spike almost did, where they were pretty much abducted. They would have been forced to either kill or die, and probably got groomed into being these Jimmies. Maybe not for all of them. Some of them more crazy than others, but you kind of get the gist of that's where each one of these Jimmies came from. Started on an innocent thing, and probably Sir Jim was responsible for killing any affiliation they had. Um, so again, it's great backbuilding storylining without having to explain the backbuilding of it.
yeah,
It just allows us to visually presume this is their relationship, this is their dynamic, without any exposition needed. And that to me is the cornerstone of great storytelling, where a visual cue can tell you 1,000 words more than someone explaining, I was once an innocent boy and now I am a violent criminal, you know? So, all that aside, this movie's definitely redeemed my hope for the franchise. It's redeemed my hope for a good trilogy,
hmm
not just a cash grab. Um, I'm assuming it's going to come back to Spike being the main character, considering the two leads. I'm going to call them the leads in this film. Both, spoiler alert, died by the end of this film. And let's talk about the final sequence of the
yes, that's what I
film.
was gonna say. This is a good. Yeah, you go.
So, I had no clue this was going to happen because there was so much talk around in the third film, so much buzz about Killian Murphy making a reprisal. And even interviews with Killian Murphy,
If he
he
become
laughs it off.
sorry, if he becomes the lead actor for the next film, how crazy would that be?
It's possible.
That'll be
Um,
insane. That'll be the perfect ending to the trilogy. But yeah, keep going. Sorry.
so I didn't even research anything about the Bone Temple leading into it because I had already dropped my guard after bloody 28 years later. I didn't fact check anything
Yeah,
or
me
any
too.
theories. So the final sequence, we get to see Killian Murphy return with his character.
Yeah.
And he's now a mature man, adult. He's no longer the naive young kid that he was in the first film. We get to see his young daughter. Um, Bit skeptical on whether she's still alive. Selena, who was a real key role in the first film, because she's not mentioned, nor is there any wink to her having died, so nothing to presume there. And he just happens to stumble across the two survivors of the Jimmies running across his field with a horde on their tail, being Spike and her, who's I seriously cannot remember her freaking name. I'm doing an insult to her. Jimmy Inc., played by Aaron Kellyman, I believe. Yes, it's Ellen Kellyman.
Yeah.
Um, a lot of people don't really care about her as an actress because of her previous stuff.
Yes.
I didn't really hate her in this. I didn't really love her. She wasn't really the star power of it, but she was fine for what she did.
She was fine. Yeah. She maybe could have been a bit more what do you call it? A bit more crazy, but she did
But
pretty well.
yeah, just before we get to the final thing, I thought that's what they were going to do with this character, Jimmy Inc., because I thought for a long time it was about her basically being, I could be the leader of the Jimmies, not this false Jimmy. I thought that's the direction they were going to go with it instead of
Yeah.
her like wanting to escape it, because she seemed pretty committed to the whole Satan worshipping thing, to the point where she's carved out an upside down crucifix right here that she's never going to be able to get rid of. So I thought that's where they were taking her character. That plot twist, she's not a nice person. She just wants to be the star of the show. She wants to be the real satanic leader of the Jimmies. But they didn't. So she, who's going to be possibly a love interest to Spike in the next one, they've escaped, and it's going to be segueing to Killian Murphy and his daughter saving Spike and Jimmy Inc. from a horde, and possibly the journey will begin with them trying to get back to his home, which is to Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Hmm.
Hopefully, he makes a return as well, because even though I didn't really care for the third film, I enjoyed his character, and yeah, hopefully there's a resolution to this whole apocalypse, because as much as I love a good zombie apocalypse, I do love the idea of it being like, a chance for civilization to return, a chance for a cure, a chance for some form of hope or normality. So if that's going to be the final installment, cool.
Mm.
If not, they're going to keep making spin-offs and probably even a TV series. I hope to Christ
They
they
don't.
don't do that.
Okay. Yeah.
I hope they don't. I hope they know when to end it before it becomes mundane, like The Walking Dead. Um, yeah, so you can probably tell in the tone of my voice and how much I have
Mm.
said in this review that I'm actually excited for the next installment, and I've said it repeatedly. So yeah, it's given me hope.
Great. Before we end it, I was actually going to mention the yeah, the part in the end with uh Kelly and um Jesus Christ. Yeah,
Jesus Christ was in it.
when Jimmy O'Connell and all that.
Jack.
Yeah, so when Ian's like, we need a sacrifice. I kind of wish it didn't turn how it did, where they're like, oh great, let's stab him. They stab him. I wish it kind of turned into all right, choose your opponent, and then he has to choose who he wants to fight, and he chooses Aaron, and then they have to fight in the end, and whoever wins kind of gets the lead role. They didn't do that. They just stabbed him straight away. You know what I mean? I kind of wish they did that whole thing where they've done the whole movie, which is you choose your opponent, whoever wins gets to yeah.
Yeah,
I wish
I
I
totally
reckon it would have been
agree.
better if they did that. Then you would have made Aaron's character a little bit better, a little bit more of a lead role,
Yeah,
and it'll make more
because
sense based on the hierarchy. Obviously, she's probably like the second in lead, and he knows that, and it would have been a good way to end that. I think if they fought each other.
I totally agree. I did not like how quickly demised Sir Dr. Ian Castile was, because he really did become a favorite character of mine. He was
Yeah.
my favorite part about the third film. And it's not to say his character needed to die, didn't need to die. I just feel like the way they killed him off was very underwhelming. Because he tricks him. He tricks Sir Jimmy from his own plan about like trying to stage his whole operatic act that he actually is the devil and that Sir Jimmy is his most loyalist
Yeah.
leader. Because the whole thing is a power play and fear mongering to make sure these Jimmys stay alive. That's what it all was. And he tricks him, as the devil does. The devil's a deceiver, to the point where he requires Jack O'Connor's Jimmy to be a sacrifice. And of course, Jack O'Connor shows his true cards. He's not really loyal to the service of Satan. He just wants to be the lead. So obviously he flips and he destroys the whole act for the rest of the Jimmys. Yeah, I reckon it would have been much more better if I agree. Like Satan, he's pretending to be Satan, convinces the other Jimmys to attack Jack O'Connell. I thought that would have been a much more better thing where they just swarmed him and they killed him, and then in amongst the whole hoorah, the infected finally come, or at least Samson
Yeah,
comes.
the infected come.
I was waiting for when Ian was injured. He's been mortally
Mm.
wounded. He's slowly dying. I was waiting for Samson to come in that moment and just go rabid on the Jimmies.
Mm.
That to me, it sounds very I guess a Hollywood kind of generic outcome, but that would have been so satisfying. These freaking Jimmies that have just caused nothing but violence, who don't seem very nonchalant about the infected, just get brutally butchered by this Alpha Samson who's
Yeah.
loyal to the devil. And then in their dire moments, they would have realized, what have we done? We've betrayed Satan, and now his number one demon is killing us. That kind of
Yeah.
would have been a serendipitous kind of irony. But no, I agree. The ending that we got was just having Jimmy Inc. Kill them all. because she's got to be shown as this real badass. Which given the circumstances, she shows herself as capable. Yeah, I totally agree. It would have been better, more poetic, and
Mm.
more Shakespearean in the sense, because that is what Costello is. He's a very, very aristocratic kind of character. If it wasn't for this apocalypse, he's very cultured. He's very intelligent. He's very well studied. It would have been more better if the whole plan fell into his hand and had this very Shakespearean kind of karma ending.
Yeah.
Just to give it a little. I mean, it kind of does when they put Jimmy upside down in his own crucifix, but and he literally says, as Jesus did, dying on the cross, "Why, Father, why have you forsaken me?" Like,
Forsaken me with his teeth.
yeah,
Disgusting
yeah,
teeth.
he's fucking ugly teeth,
A
which makes
part,
sense given where they live.
a part of me there also wanted me to. I want to turn him to a badass because he doesn't show himself to be much of a badass. He doesn't fight. He
True.
gets all his minions, so that's probably part of his character. So I don't mean to change his character, but I kind of wish in the end he got angry or whatever, and he like he forced the shit off his arms. He saw a zombie horde coming, and he gets himself out of the crucifix, and he's injured. He barely move his limbs, but he still finds a way to like fight through a few zombies, and then he's in the next movie. You know what I mean? Maybe he survives and he's badly hurt, but he's a lot more experienced because he just got himself hurt. He killed zombies. He changes as a person. Yeah, I kind of wish they did that. They kept him at the
Still
end.
possible. We didn't really actually technically
No, we
see
didn't
him die.
see. No, we saw Samson just like jump scare. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I think that's
Was it Simpson? Was it
yes.
It was such a big blur.
Yeah, no, well, I'm pretty sure it was because I saw the horns, and Sam's they portrayed
Oh,
him with the
right, yeah.
horns, and that was
Okay.
interesting. How when you saw Jax through Jim his eyes, he saw the devil as Samsung. Is there any meaning to that, or is it just like he's just he's so in his own head, or he's psychosis to think that
Well,
you know?
one, he was really badly injured, and two, don't forget, Dr. Kelson sprayed some kind of powder in their faces when he first introduced himself as a devil.
Mm,
So I'm thinking that must have been some kind of psychedelic hallucinated drug,
true.
probably to just unnerve them or something, maybe. Because, in the end, Ian Kellison's put on this act to save himself. So it's him versus the five of them. So he would do anything in his power to make sure that they are weakened or disillusioned or something. So I think that's what we saw was Sir Jimmy still on the psychedelic compound or whatever
Yeah.
was given to him. And that's how we saw Samson as the devil. Because I think at one point, doesn't Samson wear those horns from the deer he decapitated?
I don't remember.
Yeah, it's right before his transition to become more mellow. I think he's just sitting against a tree and he's put the bloody deer's head antlers on his skull as a hat, something. Remember? Or was that a psychedelic moment? I can't remember.
No, I don't remember.
It's all good.
No, yeah. So
So,
is that what do you reckon? Is that it? Or we get
I
we
think so. Instead of a whole
yeah. So we'll go to the ratings. Yeah. So overall, it was a very good film. It wasn't perfect. It would have been almost perfect if they had a few more zombie encounters. I think it would have been a very excellent film. But I don't know. It's still an excellent film. So
it was.
I'll give it a 8 out of 10. The film, yeah,
Yeah.
it was really well. I feel like the zombies they treated like you said they treated like it was almost a nuisance. Like, man, we want to have this character moment here with all these characters. We don't want zombies to come. Like, oh, who needs zombies? That's such a childish thing. But it's a
Yeah.
zombie film. They could have had a bit more intense zombie film moments. A lot of the intense moments in this film was with Jack's character, and whenever they meet a new person, it's another scary moment because all of a sudden one of them is going to have to fight to the death, and Spike is like, "Oh no, I hope it's not me again," you know. So a
Yeah.
lot of the scary moments was from Jack O'Donnell, and it wasn't from the zombies. Uh, and especially there wasn't many running zombies. All the zombies that attacked the Jimmies, well, there's like two or three of them. They were like walking. One of them had like a broken leg.
Yeah.
So I don't
Very
know.
malnourished and weak, which again, it's a good. It falls back onto the whole concept in 28 Days Later, where eventually the infected do start to starve and they get malnourished and they get weak. Cool. But still, they're meant to be very dangerous, and
No,
we get
that
to see
takes
a
away
few of
from
them.
it. All that does is take away from it. I know it's realistic. Yeah, realistically, that would happen, but it makes a more boring film for me. Just have the zombies how they were in the first couple.
I mean, they could have easily just had a sequence where they show like a surviving camp finally get overrun by the infected, like as they have done in like a perfect example being the introduction to 28 Weeks Later, where one drop of blood gets in the village, one person gets infected, two people get infected, four,
Yes.
eight, you know where I'm going with this, and then that's the new freshly energized batch of infected that are now roaming the hillside. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, there's
That's
that,
me being
and there was no people turning into affected. There was one person that turned into an infected, but again, that
yeah.
worry wasn't there. Where you get a drop of blood on you, you're done. There was that scene where the Jimmy, the Erin Jimmy, she slices the guy's neck and then does that does a black backflip, almost like the professionals. They know how to dodge the blood now. But I wish you're still you're still worried about it. You're still worried if you're like you stab a zombie, you're like, oh shit, did I get any blood on me?
Exactly.
But there was none
Yeah.
of that. It
I
was
would love
it's
to have seen that.
like I'm a
I would love to have seen that from the
badass. It's
Jimmies.
like, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
so
even though these Jimmies are
badass.
crazy and
Yeah.
satanic and all that, I still would have loved it. Like just one moment where it's like, oh, infected are coming, and you see a little bit of the human nature still in there. You still see the worry in them. They okay, they'll be able to like handle themselves against the infected, but still have that
Yeah.
notion of like there's still a thing to be worried about. It's not so much getting bitten by these infected, by getting a drop of blood on you. That to me is terrifying to think about.
Yeah,
That
there should
like,
yeah, there should have been a scene where the main Jimmy, Jack, was just standing there like all confident, and then one of the other Jimmys kills a zombie and the blood sprays on the Jimmy's chest. He's like, he like takes his shirt off and he's freaking out, like he
what the fuck you doing,
what the
Jimmy? Yeah,
what the fuck are you doing? I told you to,
it's good. That could have been like the first catalyst that like near the beginning of the film where the Jimmys start to doubt
Mm,
Sir Jimmy's leadership,
that's it.
because again the whole thing's about fear mongering. It's all about
That's it.
seeing Sir Jimmy as this more godlike kind of entity. He's like, Satan's right hand man. So that could have worked really well.
Yeah,
Like
in this film there wasn't that. They were fearful of him the whole time. There was no real what would you call it? Like you said, there was no real like, is he who he says he is? And then he has to prove that
mm,
he is. There was none of that.
yeah,
Everyone believed him the
it's
whole
all about his
time.
charisma. Yeah.
Yeah.
The only one that had doubts was Jimmy Inc., which
Yes.
again delved into me thinking maybe she wants to take over as the Satan's right hand man. But it didn't go with that at all. It was just her trying to escape the whole scenario, which I don't know, to me felt like a rewrite, if I'm gonna be skeptical. I felt like she was originally meant to be that way, but they said no, 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 she needs to be nice because this is her. I don't know. I question that one little direction
I
of the
mean, yeah.
character, but
We can
other than that,
nitpick that. Yeah, again, nitpicks. These are
it's a
nitpicks,
nitpick. It's a
and
nitpick for
it's
sure.
choice. They decided to not do that. Who are we to like, So yeah, he could have done that, but yeah. So I'll go 8 out of 10. What? How about you, Mitch?
Yeah. Now I'll match that. I'll go 8 as well. Definitely. It's a huge jump from what we got in the third one. And I want to force myself to like the third one, but I'm not going to force myself. I'm going to watch it again with now a fresh take from where we see everything lead. Maybe there's something I missed.
Mm,
I doubt it, and we'll see.
yeah, because from the third film, what I remember from it, yeah, like you said, I'll probably have to watch it again. But I remember there wasn't that many. I mean, there were cool zombie scenes. There were scenes in the third film that were probably better than in this movie, or certain things in the last movie that were better than this one. But overall, this one was written way better, and it was just better basically in every way. But the third film, yeah, I don't know. I remember watching it and I was like, man, this is kind of slow, and not even and slow in a bad way, not even in a good way. So I'm just
it
surprised what.
just yeah, it just hit a wall, and then after that, it was just characters trying to slowly climb over it, and it was like get to the point. It didn't never got to the point for me.
It was a
So,
big
anyways,
mix mosh. But yeah, so the
yeah,
Gibbies, 8 out of 10. Excited for the next
8
one
out
that
of 10.
comes out.
Hopefully another 6 months would be nice, but yeah.
6 months. Yeah, actually, I don't know, man. 6 months is a short time, dude. They're probably gonna start showing trailers for it next month. I remember when we watched it. Then a month later, we saw a trailer.
Brain
I'm like,
temple.
it's like, wait, is this? We just watched this movie. He's like, no, it's the next one.
I was so
What?
confused.
I was
Yeah, I thought maybe it's
confused.
a TV series or something, but
Or
no,
a
it's
new
another
trailer.
film.
It's like, oh, I haven't. This is a cool. Like, this is a new trailer for the one movie we've already seen.
Yeah, I
and
can't remember that scene.
and then when he told me, no, it's for the next movie. What? But
So
anyway,
quickly.
but I think it's
Yeah.
kind of good because watching a movie 6 months kind of you're more fresh than watching it after a year. So I don't know. I don't hate it. Oh, anyway, we're just rambling. We're just like fuck. I'm just talking at this point. We've gone for 50 minutes.
Whoa, yeah, big one.
Yeah, I know. But no, yeah, I don't think there'll be much editing this one.
Okay.
And yeah, thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe if you're already here. And and again, thank you to our sponsors. Absolutely nobody. And we'll see you on the next Jibbies.
How's that?
How's that? Yeah. That's right. That was